Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into another Quizzypedia answer.
Absolutely. Always up for a good Quizzypedia deep dive.
Today, we're looking at Season 207, Question 14.
Okay, what do we have?
The category is water sports. The question is, in water polo, how long does a team have possession of the ball before they must take a shot on goal to avoid losing possession? This rule is part of the shot clock system, which encourages continuous offensive play.
Ah, the shot clock, a crucial element of the game.
And the answer? 30 seconds.
Right, 30 seconds to make something happen. That's what keeps water polo so fast-paced and exciting.
Definitely. But for those who might not be as familiar with water polo itself, let's give a quick rundown.
Sure, so water polo is played in a pool with two teams of 7 players each, and the goal, of course, is to score by throwing the ball into the opponent's net.
Sounds simple enough, but I imagine there's a lot more to it than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very demanding sport, physically and strategically. It's constantly moving, lots of physical contact, and you're treading water the whole time.
Wow, so it's like a mix of basketball, soccer, and wrestling, all in one.
You can say that.
Yeah.
And that's where the shot clock comes in.
To keep things moving, prevent stalling, I'm guessing?
Exactly. Just like in basketball, it's there to keep the game flowing, make sure teams don't just sit on the ball and play defensively.
So every possession has a time limit. Adds a layer of urgency.
It definitely does. You have to think fast, make quick passes, and coordinate your attacks effectively.
No time to waste. You got to make those 30 seconds count. Now, it's interesting. You mentioned basketball. They have a 24-second shot clock. Why the difference?
Well, water polo is played in water, obviously, and water creates much more resistance than air. So just moving around with the ball, setting up a play, it all takes more time and effort.
Makes sense. So those extra 6 seconds in water polo account for the added challenge of playing in the water.
Exactly. It's not easy to maneuver in that environment.
So given this 30-second rule, how does it affect the way teams approach the game strategically?
It has a huge impact. Coaches have to design plays that can be executed quickly and efficiently, always keeping that shot clock in mind.
And players, I bet they need to be super aware of the time constantly.
Oh, absolutely. It's a race against the clock for them. Every decision, every pass has to be made with a time limit in mind.
Are there certain skills or positions that become even more important because of this rule?
Yeah, for sure. Take the center forward position, for example. They're often positioned near the opponent's goal, and they're key for drawing fouls and creating those scoring opportunities.
So a good center forward can really manipulate the shot clock to their advantage.
Exactly. They can draw fouls to reset the clock, which gives their team more time to set up a play. They're really the heart of the offense, you could say.
So it's not just about individual skill, it's about working as a team, being in sync.
Absolutely. Every player's actions matter. They need to communicate constantly, anticipate each other's moves, and work together seamlessly to make the most of those 30 seconds.
So let's break down some specific tactics that teams use to really maximize that time.
Well, a common strategy is focusing on quick passes, really crisp, accurate passes, and making sure everyone's spaced out effectively. Keep that ball moving.
So the defense is constantly having to react, trying to keep up.
Exactly. And that creates openings for shots. It's all about creating that flow, keeping the momentum going.
Kind of like a well-oiled machine, everything working in sync.
Precisely. Another tactic that's popular is setting screens. Basically using your body to block defenders, create open lanes for your teammates to take a shot. If it's done well, it can really throw the opponent's defense off balance.
And of course, we can't forget about drawing fouls. You mentioned that earlier, how valuable that can be for resetting the shot clock.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Sometimes drawing a foul is almost as good as scoring, especially when it gives your team a fresh 20 seconds with a man advantage.
Right, because the other team has a player ejected for a short period.
Exactly. Skilled players can use their positioning and body control, to force the defenders to make contact, and that gives their team a chance to regroup and set up a new play.
So it's not just about brute force, it's about being smart and using the rules to your advantage.
Absolutely. It's a mental game as much as it is a physical one.
It seems like mastering the shot clock is really about making those split-second decisions under pressure, knowing when to shoot, when to pass, when to draw a foul.
You've got it. It's a test of a team's tactical awareness, their composure under pressure, and their understanding of how the game flows.
Now I'm curious, beyond keeping the game exciting, why else is this rule so important? What are the deeper implications of the shot clock for water polo as a sport?
Well, think about it for a second. Imagine water polo without a shot clock.
Teams could just hold on to the ball forever, right?
Exactly. They could just focus on defense and wait for the absolute perfect moment to strike.
The game would be much slower.
Much slower, and honestly, probably less skillful, too.
Yeah.
The shot clock forces teams to be proactive, to take risks, and to create those scoring opportunities.
It's not just about preventing boredom. It's about pushing teams to play at a higher level.
Precisely. It encourages a more dynamic and strategic style of play, which ultimately makes the game more exciting for everyone, players and spectators alike.
So the shot clock isn't just a rule. It's a driving force behind the evolution of water polo.
I'd say so. It pushes the boundaries of what's possible in the sport, and it rewards teams that can think on their feet and adapt to those ever-changing game situations.
It's amazing how one rule can have such a profound effect. I'm curious about the history of the shot clock. How did it become a part of water polo in the first place?
Well, believe it or not, the shot clock wasn't always around.
Really?
In the early days of water polo, there were no time limits on ball possession whatsoever.
I can only imagine how that played out.
Yeah, it often led to these long stretches of stalled play, with teams just content to hold on to the ball and wait for that perfect opportunity.
So the game was probably pretty slow and not that exciting to watch.
Exactly. As the sport evolved, there was this growing desire to make it faster, more dynamic, even more appealing to a wider audience.
So they needed a way to shake things up.
And that's where the shot clock came in. It was introduced in the 1970s as a way to address these concerns and really revolutionize the game.
That's fascinating. So they recognized that the game needed to evolve, and they made a bold change.
They did. The initial time limit actually varied, but it eventually settled on the 7 seconds we know today. And this innovation, it injected a much-needed dose of urgency into the game.
Teams couldn't just sit back and wait anymore.
Nope. They had to adapt and adopt a more aggressive offensive style of play.
It's incredible how one rule can have such a ripple effect throughout an entire sport.
It really is. It changed everything, the pace, the strategy, even the skill set required to succeed.
What impact did the shot clock have on the way water polo is played?
Oh, it was a turning point in the history of the sport. It completely transformed the way the game was played, shifting the focus from defense to offense. Teams could no longer just rely on strength and physicality. They had to develop new strategies, refine their passing skills, and become more adept at creating those scoring opportunities within a much tighter time frame.
It must have been a huge adjustment for the players and coaches.
Absolutely. It required a fundamental shift in mindset and a willingness to embrace a faster, more dynamic approach to the game.
And it paid off.
Definitely. It led to a more exciting and strategically complex sport, attracting a larger fan base and elevating water polo to a whole new level of athleticism and skill.
It's really remarkable, isn't it, how a single rule change can have such a transformative impact on an entire sport.
It really is. It shows how carefully the rules of any sport are designed, to shape the game and strike that balance between skill, strategy, and entertainment.
Right. So to bring it all together, the 30-second shot clock isn't just a rule. It's a core element of water polo that really defines the pace, the strategy, the whole excitement of the game.
Exactly. Without it, water polo would probably be a much slower, more defensive kind of sport. And let's be honest, it wouldn't be nearly as fun to watch.
Definitely keeps things moving. Now it makes you wonder how the game would change if that shot clock was set to a different time limit. Like what if it was 45 seconds or even a whole minute?
That's an interesting thought. A longer shot clock could lead to more complex plays, more strategic maneuvering, since teams would have more time to set up their attacks.
But then again, it could also slow down the game, make it less about those quick decisions and fastball movement, which are so characteristic of water polo today.
You're right. It's a balancing act. And the 30-second shot clock seems to hit that sweet spot between encouraging offense and keeping the game fast-paced and dynamic.
Well, I think we've gained a much deeper appreciation for the 30-second shot clock and its impact on water polo. It's a perfect example of how well-crafted rules can truly shape a game, influence player skills, team strategies, and even how exciting it is for the fans.
Couldn't agree more. The shot clock is a fascinating case study in how something seemingly simple can have such a profound ripple effect on a sport.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into this Quizzypedia answer. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.